Hey, talk about how I got started with this whole entrepreneurial thing, with this whole money thing. See, I used to have a good paying job, working in steel to make chainsaws. I paid like $18 an hour. Awesome. And at the time, I hated my payday. I hated it. I had 10 payday loans, check cashing places. Now I know the law since changed, but a lot of the stuff still applies. But I'm gonna let you know that how I got out of it, and it kind of got me started into helping others. I was so excited about my found freedom because I had that stuff for 2.5 years, and I didn't know how to get out of it. So, I just want to talk about the payday loan cycle, real quick. Let me go ahead and minimize this, okay? So, it starts off that you get a loan, it's $500, right? And then payday comes, you get your paycheck, then you gotta repay the $500 plus a $75 fee, but you needed that money, and then you gotta reloan. So you do that. So, in 1 month, it could be, $150 in fees. That was per loan I was paying. I had 10 of them, okay? So I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And, so a lot of times what they do is, at least before, is that you couldn't just say, hey, I can't pay you, work out a deal. A lot of times they would say, well, we have to wait till it sends it to your bank account, and then they return the bad check, and then, or the transaction, if it's electronic transaction. Sometimes they try to do it 2 or 3 or 4 times, and so meanwhile your bank account is racking up all these fees. It used to be like $25, now it's like $35 or more. Bank fees, racking those things up. And then you still owe the money. So it's like, well, I'll just go ahead and pay it with the 75, and you get caught up in that trap. Well, what I found out is that it doesn't have to work that way. Once you find out how systems work, then you realize that if you realize how the system is designed and how the system works, then you can quickly and easily get out of these problems like I was in before with that payday loan check cashing thing. So this is what I did. I went to the bank, and I got the idea actually from the banker. Funny that I was at I won't say the name of the bank at the time, but I was at my local bank that I had an account with, and I went up there and I said, hey man, I don't know what to do. Should I get a block check or what? I got like 10 of them coming in. He said, your account's positive, right? I said, yeah, right now until they all come in. And he said, well, just close the account. Well, I was like, what does that mean? He said, so I said, what about the checks? He said, yeah, you got these pennies. He said, hey, what you do? He said, he took some time, and he gave me suggestions. And he said, what? So what I did was, I went ahead and opened up a new bank account. And at the time, they had a promotion where they gave you $50 to open up a new bank account. So, hey, that helped out. So, as long as you have to keep it open for like a year or something, whatever the time frame was. It didn't matter to me. I already had a bank account with them. So, what I did was I set up a new bank account with them, right, to get the fee. And then, I stayed in the cycle for another 2 weeks. I waited until all my direct deposits from my paycheck went into the new account. I didn't close out the old account. I kept like $5 in it just to make sure it stayed open. And then when they run the checks, it's on it. And then so what I did was, okay, so I got a new account with the same bank, old account, and then just before payday, I went to all the payday loan places. I said, look, I can't pay you. This was going to happen. I had something come up, and I'm going to have like 10 bad checks. Well, a couple of them work deals where they made payment arrangements for less. So instead of paying, say $75 for each one, I said, okay, I pay you $50 or whatever, right? So, awesome, right? So I had about $5,000 worth of loans at the time, a recurring recycle every 2 weeks. This amount, it was killing me. And so what I did was I went ahead and closed the account, right? So the way it works with banks is they charge fees toward accounts. Well, since at the time I closed the account in good standing, I had no account, so there was no fees. There was no bank fees. So they didn't charge bad check charges. What they did was they just returned the bad checks. They just didn't pay them. They said, we're not paying them, right? With that account. So they, the ones that didn't work deals with it, or they kept trying to deposit 3 or 4 times, well, they just kept returning it. Hey, this guy don't have an account. They don't have an account. So then, it's funny because after they get the bad checks back at the check cashing places, then they'd work with you. Like, why couldn't you have done that before? Like, that's their policies. Just like the banks had their policies, these businesses had their policies, and then of course shortly after I got out of that horrible debt situation, the laws massively changed where military and their dependents can't do check cashings. A lot of them closed up around here. Almost all of them closed up around here, which probably was a good thing. Those guys were predatory lenders, but now you can get them online though, so that still doesn't help. They still exist, but the process is the same. So you work with them. If they don't work with you, set it up. Like that. So I gave this information to like 3 dozen people, and they all did it too, and it worked out fabulously. So hopefully you can use this idea, or if you're in a situation where you're still paying the payday loans and they're not working with you, that's what you do. Close the account in good standing, and then just go from there. And then they'll work with it, because then what happens is it changes from a recurring debt every loan to a collection. So then you just make a payment arrangement on your collection. Okay? All right, so I hope this helps. Thank you very much.